And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer. Right now, we've got a brawl at the bottom of the table as two teams who desperately need some wins on this side of the split. We're going to hope to find one here today. But before we get underway with the pre-match banter, I do want to send a special shout-out once again to CTBC Bank, in fact, for being our sponsor for this split. Thank you so very much. Now, Clement, MetaFalcon team and Dewish team may both be towards the bottom of the standings, but it is Dewish team that have the momentum right now. I think MFT might be a little worried.
Dewish team has been incredibly impressive in the second round robin so far. I feel like their games were actually close against a lot of the top caliber teams, not only in their win versus Deep Cross Gaming, but also a very close game against PSG also in week 4 here. And it all comes off against this idea of playing against the grain. Super fast early tempo. You're seeing things that nobody else runs, like the Nidalee and the Elise coming out from WSL just to make sure they get some sort of a lead.
Yeah, I love that he plays such aggro junglers. I mean, it hasn't always worked out. The Elise did incredibly well. And at the same time, I think this is a squad that recognizes their weaknesses, that has a game plan coming in, and is willing to make changes. So that's exciting to see. But let's take a look at our blue side team to start things off. It is going to be MetaFalcon team. This is a squad that had a very strong identity last split. Now I'm not so sure. They are Taco 665, Hong2 Whale, and Issue. And I feel like, Clement, this is a team that is in search of a hero.
In search of a soul as well, because I feel like they're split in so many different directions. Just by the eye test, their best player is probably Taco. We saw that immaculate 1v2 against PSG solo laners where he 1v2'd both Anabi and Gory. That is I think their bread and butter play, which is sort of a 4-1 composition. But then you have other directions being tugged in elsewhere. I think Hong2, for the most part, has played for more scaling. He's Silas, Azir, and Corki. You have 665 in a role that I don't think he's very comfortable in, the tank role, and the bottom lane overall has just not been very strong in lane. So way too many patches to kind of fix to head towards a coherent direction.
All right, and their opponents, of course, talking about coherence, starting to find some of that. It is Dewish team, Lacune, WSL, Xiaotu, Bangtu, and Enhao. And yeah, yesterday, what a hell of a banger that they had up against the side of Frank Esports. The Samira goes 9-0. That Elise pops off. They find the deletion. I mean, this is a team that have found a winning strategy. 2 wins. I mean, I feel like that's more than Hurricane and Alpha put together in some of those splits.
It definitely is. And what I love about this squad is how they recognize that, sure, if we just look at our players head to head, a lot of them don't really match up to their opponents, but we're going to give them the power early picks to make things work here. And I think that's especially true for WSL. I think his pathing has been very suspect. If I looked at his Elise game yesterday, the early game was honestly absolutely atrocious. He burned his early 2 flashes just to escape from the enemy jungle. But he's still willing to go for the champions. He's willing to play the Lee Sins, the Trundles, the Lees, and to at least find a winning point, if not in terms of like raw mechanics, at least in matchup. And that's what you have to do if you're on the bottom side of the roster, bottom side of the stage.
Absolutely. The champions that we highlight, of course, some of the most played ones, don't really reflect some of the aggressive playstyle that WSL has out. So I'm curious to see if MFT try to take some of those away, as I think they are quite important to the strategy. We are on picks and bans, though. MFT and Dewish team rosters going head-to-head here. GP Narband away, respecting Lacune and what he can do, and maybe trying to give Taco the best advantage. Keep in mind the blue side, the counter pick is always available for their opponents.
I think that's a pretty standard play coming in from MFT. I would not be surprised if we see some sort of an early Kale just come out and say, well, we're just going to hold it out until the late game. You do your worst in the early side. On the other side, we do see Dewish team focusing down Hong2 and his Silas. This is what most teams have been doing. I think Silas is the champion that Hong2 plays that really gives them an aggressive early edge that I think just adds a lot of wild cards into the calculation. You are much happier seeing on something like the Corki, something that doesn't have as much impact in the early game. And wow, Zeri going to be picked up from Whale. This one was a huge problem in his champion pool in the previous split. Let's see if he can master it this time around.
Yeah, I think Dewish team have made a gamble here. They've said, all right, he was not a good Zeri in spring. He is very dependent on Kalista, and they opt to swap things up and just let him have that champion. We'll see if it ends up biting them in the behind, as Dewish team are now looking for their picks. The Poppy locked in. WSL has shown it once already, and Now, as we were talking about in the last game, Poppy has been rising not only in priority here, but around the world because she's just so good.
Yeah, she really fills a role that I don't think any other jungler fills. She's very good against early aggression. The Lee Sins and the Xin Zhaos, a lot of times they can't outduel a Poppy. Even at level 3, the Poppy can just block one of their charges and straight up 1v1 them. So she has that early game insurance. She's a great tank, and she can create those really weird scenarios for you in team fights with the Poppycopter. On the other hand, we also have to remember Lacuna has also played this Poppy top lane. So it is not just a jungle pick. They could still swap this top and go for an even more aggressive early jungle.
I do like the flexibility because it's going to keep Meta Falcon team guessing here. They lock in the Corkster for Hong 2. I was curious to see what the mid lane choice would be and not wanting to let it fall into the next phase. It's blind up against Xiao 2. I think you don't have to worry about that too much. And they also will go ahead and pick up that Viego for themselves. I want to say maybe a bit of a staple pick. It's only been one this split for 665, but it does kind of feel like the type of champion he likes. It's got good resets, carry potential. It's what he was more known for in the spring split.
I think he's definitely more comfortable on the Viego compared to the Poppy, which is now his most played. This man wants to carry. I commend giving him the carry role, but so far I don't think I see a central theme for MFT's composition. You have champions that are, that come online late game, that are incredibly powerful, but you have to survive until that point. I feel like I'm a little bit worried for MFT's comp, but because it doesn't really gel together. Usually you see the Viego in sort of snowballing comps with the Ahri or the Lissandra. You don't really see the Viego going with the Corki. That's a very weak mid-jungle combo.
Yeah, it's starting to feel a little bit solo queue, and maybe dependent on some of the comfort levels, could be a worrying sign for MFT. Into the second phase of bans, we see Braum taken away by Duish team. They ban LeBlanc against Xiao 2. I mean, it is a Xiao 2 special. I don't know if it merit. I mean, they got to win on it. I'll give them credit, but all right. Focusing on issue though, Alistar now as well.
I do like the bans here just because the mid lane Corki, it has so many issues early game. I do think you need to take away a lot of the tempo champions here. Talia is going to be another good answer here from Duish team, and this is a very different look because I think Duish with this combination is going to be playing a slower game. This is not your usual incredibly fast-paced, your tempo champions like the Elise or the Zoe going in for Xiao 2. This is a little bit more measured from Duish team's side. And I think it's actually a good indicator that they're gaining some confidence that they can actually draft this, sort of survive to the mid game.
Yeah, I like it. We'll see if it's going to work well for them. Issue dipping deeper into the champion pool comes up with a Leona. So paired up with the Zeri, they've got a little bit of decent engagement. But I think you're right. It's a little interesting. It's like half their team kind of wants to go in and the other half doesn't. Well, I suppose that would tip the scales a little bit for Taco here if they lock it. I mean, any of these picks really, like, he's toying with their hearts right now because they still don't know where that Poppy is going necessarily. Oh, please. Oh, okay. You know what? I'll take it. Taco Mordekaiser. We saw it in spring. If I recall correctly, he was one of the first to play it, and it popped off.
Yeah, incredibly strong. I feel like Leaky got some inspiration just coming in from him. I'll be honest, I don't think this MFT comp actually has a cohesive identity. It's really all over the place for me. Like, you have champions that can move really quickly, can traverse across terrain, like the Zeri and the Corki. But then you have Mordekaiser, which doesn't really help you move all that much. So I feel very conflicted about MFT's comp. I just don't really see a clear identity here. I'm very happy to be wrong and to be surprised. But for me, Duish team just has the much more stable composition. You got the late game carry, you got the mid game that can roam around against the Corki, and you also have a top lane that matchup that isn't set in stone with the Gwen versus the Mordekaiser.
Right. MFT, you know, they're looking for their first win this week. Trying to find it with this composition, but I agree with you. It is a little bit of a head scratcher. I feel like it's comfort champions, it's opportunity. Maybe someone steps up and carries. They have a lot of damage. They have a lot of abilities to get outplays, but I feel like they need to force skirmishes. And, you know, I don't often get to say this, but I think Douche team are looking pretty good. They have a strategy all locked in. We'll see if they can execute on it.
This is the thing I love about Duos team and their games. Sure, their early game execution is still a little bit sus, but their drafting has been on point. A huge shout outs to Sen and what he's done with the team so far. I really feel like Duos team have been punching above their weight just because of their draft. So going again into the roster, I feel like MFT, their problems here is, yes, they have a very high ceiling with the Corki and the Zeri. However, I feel like their early to mid game is relatively weak. Corki plus Viego, not a strong combination whatsoever. And Mordekaiser has trouble keeping up with the rest of the map. We also have to remember he's not even running Ghost. He's just running Ignite in the top lane. So it's going to be hard for this Mordekaiser to join a lot of the action and the skirmishes that you mentioned.
Yeah, I hope that we see Xiaotu really channel his inner Nesty here, because a roaming Talia can make so many big plays on either side of the map. And imagine snowballing a Gwen, snowballing an Aphelios, and setting up plays, denying the Zeri, denying the Mordekaiser. I think Douche team have options here. The Poppy, we've already seen good ganks as long as you find those wall angles. It is possible. They have a lot of abilities to make it work, and we'll see if they can here. Douche team only 2 wins, but have momentum with one yesterday. MFT have not won this week. They are hoping to set the record straight, correct things, and move on up. And well, we'll see if they can gatekeep Douche team away, or if the latter are going to tie them in the standings.
I just want a refresher here. MFT did finish last split in the upper bracket. So, you know, they surprised us by being this collegiate dream going all the way into playoffs in their first split. However, I feel like reality has kind of come back and
it's a sophomore slump, Clement.
It is.
These things happen. All right, kicking ourselves off here, taking a look at our choices on the summoners, and of course the Unsealed Spellbook as well for Xiaotu in the mid lane. Starts off with that Ghost. I mean, I really want to see him roam a lot. Like, Xiaotu is a player that it has been hard to say really positive things about his league career here in the PCS, because he has struggled in 2 different roles. But I think this type of meta where you can have impact outside of the laning phase early on in the game, that could suit him very well. Keep in mind he has jungler experience. He definitely knows the pathing, if it's not always been the best.
Yeah, and I would say that despite his record, he's actually shown some very good highlight moments. You can tell that he's mechanically quite proficient in his Zoe and his LeBlanc play. I would say if you had to, you know, criticize his gameplay, it's usually that when they're losing by too much, he tends to go into this, I would say, a tilted mode where he just gets caught quite frequently, and that has been a pretty big bummer to watch him play overall. But when he's on point, he's definitely on point, and I think this is someone that can ride the momentum and create those highlight moments for the rest of the team.
Hey, that's very fair. I do think he can set things up, and I think Talia is a champion that allows him to do that, set the team for success. But let's take a look at how things work out in the laning phase for the squads, right? MFT, they're going to have a little bit of pressure to try and make some plays. Gwen versus Mordekaiser up in that top side. Taco holding that surprise pick, but you see Douche team did have an answer for themselves. Lakunai, of course, coming in to this one as I think fairly hyped in the top lane. There were a lot of exciting players, but we'll talk about that in a minute, because then Hao opens up with a nice hook onto Issue, just a trade of damage as he tries to walk it out. They do get the better of it.
And just to call out to the Keystone Runes being brought right here, we do have both sides angling for ganks, as the Glacial Augment is there for the Nautilus and the Leona. Meanwhile, talking about the lane setups, I think mid lane you just expect Xiaotu to come out ahead. Corki typically has a pretty rough time early on. You typically see the tier builds going through. And for top side, Taco also has to be very careful. Mordekaiser is actually fairly weak early on, and because he's not running with any escapes and he doesn't have any gap closers to start with, I think his best scenario is what he's doing right now, which is to let the opponent push him in.
Oh my goodness. 665 just gets completely robbed of his chickens. WSL goes in, just looks at him scarily, it forces the flash out. Not even a chance.
And this is why I didn't like the draft that much. I feel like the mid jungle is so weak. There's absolutely no priority here. And you're going up against a Taliyah plus a Poppy.
We're seeing it.
This is pretty much the best tower diving combination that you can draft for yourself. A Taliyah just pops the Weaver's wall and you get an easy E down.
Now, Lakune trades really well with Taco here as well. You talked about, you know, how the Mordekaiser has a rougher lane start. It was a good Death's Grasp, but doesn't just result in too much. And yeah, I think Douche team off to a good start in this one. Can get the pressure down, can push in. Without a flash on 665, I think Douche can play pretty far forward in the lanes if they want. They've already set the Viego back a full camp.
Yeah, he's going to have a rough time. I expect 665 to be spotted throughout the entire early game. It's just way too much pressure emanating from the mid lane. You also have the minion dematerializer there for Xiao2, so that's even more potential to just pop it on a cannon and go into the jungle. Wow, Ignite goes down.
Nice hook for Enhao, forcing the flash out of issue. Ooh boy, they even get the two-man root down. Bang2 and Enhao are definitely starting this one off strong. And you know, I think Bang2, when we were looking in the spring split for like a highlight on the Hurricane roster, I think Bang2 was it.
Yeah.
He's definitely looking good in this laning phase.
And Bang2, for me, his team fight was always on point. It's just about getting through the laning phase. That has constantly been a struggle for him, but not so much against the MFT bot lane. And I do want to mention with this flash down, a play that we have seen very common is Taliyah just drops a wall behind your tower. Poppy comes in, gets the guaranteed stun. You have the Nautilus to follow up, and it's almost a guaranteed kill. So we have that coming on the way before the Herald play is even available.
Yeah. Clutch Summoners. 665 won't have his for a little bit. Now, Hung2 does it level 6 first, but, you know, if you're Corki, that doesn't matter quite as much. I mean, you're looking more for the package plays around the objectives. Xiao2, he should ding that pretty quickly, which means the Weaver's Wall is going to be up and available, and I want to see how fast he can actually leverage that one. Taco down. Just hit 6, has the Death Realm, so Lakune has to respect that. Does dodge the Obliterate, nicely done. He fancies a fight here. I don't know about this one. Yeah, throws the needlework. That's going to push him back, and they don't decide to all in.
A good find here on Taco. I think he did what he needed to do. Basically just hold his wave earlier on, make sure he isn't ganked. Mordekaiser is one of those champions. If you're not running with a with a flash and you push out early, it can be really bad for you. On the flip side, love this from Duish team. They know they have the Taliyah prio and the potential for just a straight-up tower dive in the bot side. So what they do is they move WSL and Enhao into the enemy jungle first, and they clear out that path for Xiao2 to just roam bot lane. This is so much pressure on the MFT bottom side.
Yeah, I love this. It's a good start. Keeping it pretty even in the farm game, but they open up with the prio on Dragon, getting that first one and starting the stack off nice and early. We'll be in for a pretty exciting one too. Clement already Cloud down. There's going to be an Ocean next. I mean, that leaves some pretty exciting rifts coming up.
I think everyone's favorite these days is the Hex Tech, just because it opens up.
It's so fun.
There's so many plays where people just forget about the Hex Tech gates and they give over Barons because they don't expect the jungle to be there. They're like, oh, the smite is still like 20 seconds off. It's like, nope, pops into the Baron pit immediately just from the Hex gate and gets a Baron steal.
What is your favorite Hex Tech flank play that you've seen so far?
The Hextech flank play, I remember there was one earlier. I can't remember which team it was from, but it was just from the backside of the Drake, and it was a complete cutoff onto the escape route, just to the red side blue buff, and they just managed to kill everyone with that. So I really think
I know what you're talking about too. I can't remember the teams either, but like it was just like jaw dropper moment. We're like, oh no, they forgot about it. Yeah. New league mechanics sometimes do a heckin' bamboozle. But this game, Douche team, they are feeling themselves pretty well. They're going to bring WSL a roaming buddy with Enhao here, starting off on the Herald Prio. So objective takes have been good. We saw this yesterday. They just kind of rushed objectives when they were losing lanes. Now they're not even losing lanes.
Exactly, and there's no good response here. Leona's not going to shove the wave particularly fast, so it looks like MFT, if they want to get something, they have to go for a bot lane dive. I'm just not sure if that's actually available especially with Bang2 shoving out the wave so incredibly well. I want to see what guns Bang2 has and to see if DWT team actually timed this with some of Aphelios's wave clear abilities right here.
Yeah, tab over there. He's just off screen at the moment. 665 taking away a bit of jungle. Banks. Yeah, he's got red-white. I don't know about that one.
Well, it's pretty decent with the Severum going close. Of course, you would want the Infernum in a situation like this. Gives you maximum amount of wave clear. And now with DWT team, after taking the Herald, they could still swing back and make a play bottom.
Yeah, this is really nice. They're kind of covering their bases, not losing out too badly. They are a little bit behind in the gold game. I think that's just farm difference for Hong2, though. Like, that's not all that significant in the grand scheme. I mean, this is a good start. One of the big weaknesses we highlighted, DWT team's laning phase, have not really been too perturbed by what MFT are bringing to bear.
Yeah, this is really about where the next Herald is going to be dropped. I feel like DWT team are most likely going to play for their bottom side. They can throw members down there a lot faster. However, in the meantime, we are hitting that 10-minute mark, whereas Corki can start to join some of these roams with the package here. So I feel like we're going to get a very explosive set of plays just in the next couple of minutes. You know, DWT team could drop the Herald mid, go straight for bot lane, or they could just, you know, go straight for bot lane to begin with.
Yeah, they have a few options, I suppose, but they usually end the same. And yeah, this is starting to look like one of these games we see in this meta where, you know, it's a little bit of a build-up, and then we kind of have these really crazy fights that usually decide the game fairly momentarily. But, you know, 10 minutes, still fairly early, tons of time. DWT team, they're going to be moving into the mid lane here, trying to grab a few plates. Teleport will complete for Hong2, and they're going to try to make the play. Immediately flashes, respecting the wall bang.
I absolutely love that play coming in from DWT team. You know, they threaten with the Herald, they force the TP, and then they get the flash right afterwards. That was really clever because you can't cancel the TP. You have to finish that channel and give over your summoner.
Yeah, nicely done. Still have the Herald optional. Plenty of time to work with, and it seems DWT team slow and steady, controlling. You talked about confidence in the pick, man. I think they're showing it here, you know? This is a team that has been hungry for so long. They find a couple of wins in a couple of weeks and start to look better. Now, Bang2 does get caught. Oh boy, there's the flash away. Will he be able to get away in time? The root's down, tagging Enhao is going to tap his way in, forcing the flash at a whale. And all right, no kills for MFT still.
Double summoners down for the AD carry, and he gets tagged once more. I just feel like Bang2 was playing this one a little bit too risky. He actually saw Whale moving down the lane just with the ward on your screen right there, and he still decided to stick around. That was a little bit weird for me. I don't think that was necessary at all, and they will pay with the Drake here.
Yeah, well, Clement, we do, in fact, get everyone's favorite rift.
Hey!
The Hex Dates, they're open, let's go! All right, plate does get taken by Douche, but you're right, I think Bang2 cost his team a little bit there in that ocean by overextending. So I just talked about confidence. Sometimes confidence is a little bit of a curse, and you don't respect the roam potential, but we'll see if it hurts more than just that dragon stack being cut down up to the top lane. Speaking of cutting, Lakunai hitting 10 now, trying to keep a pace with Taco. Kill threat really hasn't been there, but he does get yoinked in. Have to respect the Death Realm. Ooh, man, Taco looks like he's ducking, diving, dodging, has the shield. I think he might be able to secure that first blood. Ignites on both sides. No, boy. We got the Herald drop down in the mid lane. So DWT team running a little low on that time. We'll get the charge down, and plates are shared. Here comes the Poppy, WSL, a little late to the party to try and threaten to dive.
I feel like overall MFT has held on really well to the mid-jungle prio deficiency. And if we look into the late game, they definitely have the tools, the firepower to take over DWT team. So, you know, this is I would say MFT are actually slightly favored giving this start, but maybe Xiaotu can find a play here.
Okay, they do manage to get stuck into the hook. They catch him. Whoa, my goodness! Hong2 never had a chance to not be first-blooded as WSL gets the last hit. Oh boy, he just got smashed.
That was some sweet prediction and great coordination from all three members right there. Xiaotu with the prediction on the seismic shove. He knocks him back into the dredge line by Enhao, into the wall bang by WSL. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah. MFT do take some time to shred a few plates off the back of it. You can see backing right in front is Taco. That last second plate will go over. So you did mention it, this mid-game starting to favor MFT a little more. They've started to climb back up in the gold game, have themselves a lead of about 500. It's not huge, but we're starting to see the mythics come in as well. Riftmaker on both sides between the Gwen and the Mordekaiser, but MFT may have a little better priority at the moment. They can start to control these neutrals, and, well, you're going to want to try to contest on those Hextech Drakes.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure from DWT team early, but it did not translate into kills necessarily. So DWT team right now, I feel like they actually find themselves a little bit behind. They still have a lot of playmaking potential compared to this team, but Home 2 is going to have the package here. We have that Mordekaiser that is just so threatening mid-game, especially against Talia, especially against Bane 2. So I feel like we are getting into the point where a Meta Falcon team can start to just out-muscle in these objective fights. If they just stick together and move as a unit, I would give them the advantage in a straight-up 5v5.
Yeah, I think we saw a pretty big difference between, the Poppy play in Game 1 and the Poppy play here, right? Like, WSL not nearly as active and effective in terms of ganks. Like, he still, looked for opportunities, but he just didn't really find a lot of those big flanks. And MFT, in this mid-game, feeling confident they can bring 5 members of Bear and take the Herald. They immediately turn into the fight. They find Enhow, and they just knock him right into 665, who deletes him off the map. Issue going to try and flash and limp his way away. Big 2's down. The double kill. 665 is online, looking for 3, and I think he can do it, but Home 2 steals the kill away. 665 going a little bit deeper down the line. Doesn't matter. Doesn't get punished. MFT pick up 3, and they TP down for bot lane.
And boy, oh boy, was that all too easy for Meta Falcon team. I don't think Enhow saw issue right there. That would have been a really weird engage if he knew that Leona was there. Well, he did know that Leona was there. He uses his dredge line, instantly gets popped, and Taco gets to walk right on top of Bane 2 right there. That was... I don't know what to say about that from DWT team. That was just a bad fight setup.
As a whoopsie. I'm going to go ahead and say whoopsie. And here's the thing. We did talk about 665, how he has struggled this split, how this Viego pick was risky. Well, he just got 2 kills.
Yeah.
That's a champion that scales very well off those kills.
I'm not sure what DWT team were trying to accomplish there. They had so many tools like WSL and just trying to knock people back and trying to play more of a kiting game with Talia. No, they actually were the ones to just go ahead and straight up engage, and yeah, I don't know what to say, but it made things incredibly easy for Meta Falcon team.
Oh boy. Alright, Duish now. Gonna try to contest this dragon here. Hong 2 actually pushing up top, has teleport if he wants to get in the mix, and that's going to be first brick secured by Meta Falcon team. You can see the rest of Duish team trying to hold on to mid, and this is actually WSL soloing. This is an interesting trade here. You can see that MFT realized, all right, we can see the dragon, but we can get 2 towers off the back of it.
2 might be a bit too much. I feel like this is definitely a
I thought
favorable
665
trade.
was going to push for it. All right, well, it's damage. That's okay.
Even just getting 1 for that one, I feel like it's perfectly okay. They have complete topside vision with a decided advantage in the gold lead at this point, so DWT team are forced to start checking early. This is never a position you want to be in.
Oh boy. Gold lead. Duish get a dragon, but I don't think MFT really care about it too much. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. Whale gets knocked in, and Issue is going to get knocked around, and Duish team do claim that kill. I will be able to get this tower in mid, but I don't think that's everything they wanted. I mean, Whale getting away is still pretty massive for MFT, and the Ultra Shock laser, it's starting to sting. We know Zeri hurts in the late game. Well, she's on an item and a half right now.
That's the play we wanted to see from DWT team. Unfortunately, it did not happen in the laning phase, which is, I think, a huge missed window for them. But we can see the potential of the play right there. MFT have to be careful. Whenever they're trying to do 1-3-1 plays, DWT team can just pull off that same trick again and again. And as long as Issue doesn't have a flash, it's always going to work.
That's true. Be able to pick off Leona over and over again. So, as this game goes, 19 minutes on the clock. DWT team answer back with a kill in a tower. But 665 getting that Rift Herald solo, I believe. And does open them up for opportunities around the map. And, you know, it looked like very early on 665 might have ended up in a tilt game as he was chased off his chickens, insta-flashed and everything, but he has recovered very nicely, and picking up those tilt kills certainly revitalized this Viego, making him into a proper threat, which should help carry MFT over the line for a while. They've got a very strong Mordekaiser. They've got the late-game Zeri in their pocket, and Wales played pretty well, all things considered, past the laning phase.
Absolutely here, and we will start to see MFT with the poke game. You know, Corki is slowly getting online, and we have those Ultra Shock lasers just going in here. So Duish Team will find it hard to actually fight it out in a siege. I think Duish Team need to have those team fight situations where they can cut members off. Ooh, but a straight fight like this, not what they're looking for.
No, they do not. Taco right in the middle of them all, and he is not afraid of anything. Blast Cone, kind of Duish Team just split across the map. Whale getting 2 kills off the board, and he just pews his way ahead. Hong 2 hopping the wall. Issue even getting into this one. Duish Team just split themselves apart.
Yeah, they were trying to catch someone out. We saw WSL wrapping around the corners there. Oh, Xiaotu nearly goes down as well.
I was so close to an ace.
It was. They just didn't have the vision to actually make that play work. They run into a Mordekaiser head first, and Mordekaiser just flash. He doesn't even have a flash. He just walks up the ramp and just destroys all of them. So we'll see. It's not a terrible idea from WSL, but they did not have the vision to actually do this play. Taco does the right thing. He walks amidst 5 members on Duish Team, and nobody's taking him down.
This is textbook why you don't rush the raid boss before you've got your plan thought out. Mordekaiser just walked into them. Oh my goodness. MFT looking good right now though, Clement. I think despite the head scratcher of a composition, execution has certainly looked a lot better on their side, and Duish Team have made a number of questionable plays now.
Yeah, I just feel like Meta Falcon Team have just found themselves with such a massive payoff once they can survive the Talia and the Poppy gangs coming in, and now they're in a commanding position. I think no one is going to be able to take out the Mordekaiser so far. He's 5 assists, really fed at this point, and I really want to see Duish Team try to find more use out of the Poppy. I think at this point, if they want to win a heads-up team fight, someone has to knock away Taco.
I think WSL feels a little uncomfortable, at least looks a little uncomfortable in the more utility role, right? Like, he can still be aggressive, he can still find the wall bangs, and he has. But I think it's almost like he has an aversion to, like, disengage, right? Like, he doesn't really want to use the Poppycopter. And I think that is part of the reason they're struggling at the moment. Dragon's going to be up in about 20 seconds here. MFT have the inside tack, and well, you can see a lot of pings, a lot of activity up towards Baron Pit. I don't know if Duish are feeling a chance at rushing that. It is only 22 minutes.
Yeah, I don't see Duish trying to do it, but it could be a good opportunity to catch someone out. One thing that they still have in their advantage is they have that Talia. Talia gives you map mobility. So we'll try to see if Duish Team try to take over the top side, envision, try to make a play there. But for now, MFT get to pick whichever side they want to play. We won't see a contest from Duish Team here. It's just about trying to split people across the map.
MFT pick up an uncontested Dragon in all of that as well, between Whale and 665. Both having great games, and yeah, I keep looking at the Zeri with no deaths, and I'm just like, all right, there's going to be a time in this game when that is a very, very difficult problem if you are Duish Team to try and overcome here.
Boy. Absolutely. Zeri is still incredibly powerful on this patch.
On just about every patch.
Yeah. We
Riot
have seen how many
keeps trying to nerf her.
I think it was 12 changes and 9 patches or something. It's just
it's a lot. They've created a monster, let's be honest here. This is a must-ban champion until proven otherwise, and Death Brush Issue will get caught in the seismic shove, but he doesn't care. He's got Hong 2 right at the back of him, 665 in the Baron Pit as well, and MFT are very much feeling their power spikes at this point in the game.
Yep, we have the Muramana online already, and yeah, it's just, I don't see how Duish Team really try to split the map up. Another big thing about splitting up the map, it's typically a lot easier if you have a split pusher, not sure what WSL is trying to do, but he's alone versus 3 right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lacune is their split pusher, right? Like, he's a Gwen, but the problem is, like, you can't really 1v1 the Mordekaiser at this point. You had your chance in the laning phase, and you didn't really get enough done there. So I think that's the trouble if they really wanted to try to opt into that strategy. WSL is going to be very tanky, going to be a little hard to take down at the very least, but I think they need to find these picks, right? They need to use that Talia more. You called it out earlier. They have the ability to split this team, at least to some extent. Not everyone can hop the wall.
Yeah. Maybe they go for the Mordekaiser, but you almost are guaranteed to lose a member in that attempt, so it would give over the Baron at this point. I think DWT Team's best opportunity is actually to get Lacune in a flanking position and go now.
All right, they look for something, but 665 is a little too slippery in the Harrowed Path there, so MFT, they just kind of burn the Weaver's Wall back away here.
You can tell that they're trying.
Oh, there we go.
Comes the
Instantly, they find 665, but he's going to be using the Heartbreaker, and teleport's coming in. They need to be able to find the deletion before things get messy, and they don't get it. Whale blows up the Nautilus, and WSL's going to be left to pick up the pieces here as Lacune hopping away, splitting away from the team. That's 2 kills already for Whale, and they're looking for more. 665 lines up Bang 2. Hong 2 takes him down. Issue chased by Zhao 2, but he just needs to buy some time for the cavalry to arrive. As Hong 2 stepping it up, Lacune, the last man standing, takes the Hex Gate out to safety, but that will be the Baron.
What a good Heartbreaker coming in from 665. That was true to its name, as he was able to get out of Enhao's ultimate with not crowd control, slips away, and gives enough time for Taco to arrive on the scene and just clean up everyone. I want to give props to Taco there as well. That was great target selection. He takes away Lacune, which means that there is no AoE threat from the Gwen onto the back line. They're able to clean up everyone afterwards. So I still don't like this as a back situation. That was incredibly risky, but watch this from 665.
Oh my God.
Heartbreaker out, gets out of the crowd control, and then Taco comes in with the absolute pinpoint accuracy on the target selection. He takes away Lacune before he can just kill everyone with the needlework, which I think was incredibly crucial, and then you get the chase down onto Bang 2.
You know, we talk a lot about, like, impactful ultimates and, like, you know, damage-dealing abilities and all that stuff, but sometimes a good old blink is exactly what you need, and really great play from 665. This is the performance we expected to see from him coming to this split, and they will find some more. Zhao 2 going to get shredded down by the Gatling gun from the Corki, and also no chance for WSL, deleted yet again. And that is going to be the push. Baron empowered on that bottom side. Meanwhile, Lacune trying his darndest to split push to victory, but I think he's going to be on the losing side of this race.
Yeah, he knows that he can't defend, so you might as well pick up some gold. I can't really fault him for this one. Put in a bad position. You gotta sleep in the bed you made right here. But MFT should be able to just sneak away both of these inhibitors. And if anyone falls, that will be the game. Still 12 seconds here, so they will have their mid-jungle, at least for the final push.
All right, we'll see if MFT want to take it here. Lacune using that Gwen miss to its best effect so far today. But they still lose the tower. Can't stop the damage on that one. Waiting for the minions and supers. They are going to get a yoink in. But even with the ejection, I still feel like MFT looking good right here. Look at that damage. The Zeri fully online. And the Corki cannot be stopped. 665. Even using the wallbang that he took away from WSL. The quadra kill. They want to give him the penta. And I don't think they'll be able to get it. But
come on.
MFT, they claim victory here, Clement, in this game over Dewish.
A little bit of scumbaggery from Xiao 2, but I can't fault the man. That was a really clean game from MFT. I had a lot of my worries, but they were alleviated by just MFT with the better team fight setup. So I think they outplayed the Dewish team significantly at the Herald and at the Drake later on. You could kind of say that Dewish team did give them those opportunities. To be honest, Dewish team really did not use any of their tools in their kit and just straight up walked into MFT. But hey, MFT caught the ball, so yeah. Congratulations.
For every throw, there's somebody catching for sure. I do think, yeah, we needed to see so much more from them in the early game. It was nice to see the laning improve, but that wasn't going to be the problem, right? They had advantages in the top. They had an ability to play in the bottom, and I I gotta ask, where was the Poppy? We didn't see the Poppy. She was in the jungle farming away. I mean, sure, she got 665 shut down, but that wasn't where she needed to be. And as soon as the fights happened, well, he got right back into the game. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the MVP award, because 665 had a pop-off.
I was very surprised that DWT team weren't able to get a little bit more out of their early game. They had full middle, and full jungle dominance, and they were on the cusp of actually turning that into a significantly unleashed Aphelios. If they managed to get the first brick and just swap the Aphelios top lane, I felt like that would have been game. I felt like it would be way too hard to come back from a double losing lane situation, but they just didn't pull off the early play. We didn't see what I was talking about the entire time, was you just put the Weaver's Wall right behind the bot lane tower, and then you have Poppy just smash into someone, get an insta kill, get the tower, and kind of snowball that way. So I feel like it was a huge missed opportunity from DWT team. And on the flip side, I guess you don't really need much of a cohesive composition if you just bring raw firepower to the fight.
Yeah, look, here's the thing, Clement, about MFT. You don't always have to understand what they're doing, but they make it work in the execution game. We saw the cohesion. This was the strategy from a collegiate side that we talked about, them bringing a lot of the players together, still the core of that roster intact into the summer split. And they found a lot of success. I think that the Corki wasn't punished too badly. There were definitely some mistakes and a lot of, I want to say, trepidation, a lot of caution in the early game. Like you saw like just second flashes the moment MFT saw anyone from DWT team turn up, but for good reason, because they were able to turn it around in the fights. The team's ability to skirmish, the team's ability to fight just looked better, and they were much more decisive. And that was something that I think has been lacking from this Meta Falcon team side for a while. So it was good to see here today.
Absolutely. And I feel like in this game, another big person to keep our eyes on is going to be Taco. This guy has been surprising from day one. And I think because of YSKM, he's kind of gone underneath the table, the radar for most people, but he's still incredibly strong. I would not be surprised to see Taco actually picked up by some of our top tier teams later down the line. I think this is someone that definitely has a future in the PCS.
Yeah, Taco definitely had a standout spring, and I think he's starting to get a little bit of that swagger back here. But everybody, I feel like that needed to, for the MFT side, really stepped up, right? Like they did their jobs. I could talk about, oh, look at the Zeri damage numbers, but yeah, it's Zeri, of course. Whale had a great game. Can't take that away from him. I think Taco had a solid performance and stood out for me, but it is 665 that will get the MVP, and just gonna say called it, from flashing away and losing his own Raptor camp to just reset City. And how about that defensive heartbreaker that broke the hearts of DWT team?
Absolutely beautiful. Gave them a 4-kill to nothing lead, snowballing right into the Baron. And I feel like this is what we want to see out of 665. I don't think he's been comfortable playing mainly in a Poppy role. He definitely likes to stick to the back line, be more of an AD carry. And with Home 2 in the roster, maybe that will stabilize and shift them into something more like a sort of dive or 1-3-1 composition that we actually saw them trying to run this game here. So interesting developments in MFT lane.
Yeah, liking to see they get a win on the board, but after the break, we will be bringing another edition in the Battle of the Banks. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.